trusted to follow through on an agreement. It's close to unprecedented.
By the way, that distracting background noise is courtesy of Vice. That's how they decided to release the clip. We tried our best to try to tone it down. There wasn't much we could do. Anyway, for more on Iran, I'm joined by Senator Roger Wicker of Mississippi. He's chair of the Republican National Senatorial Committee, member of the leadership. He signed that letter. And Democrat Tim Kaine of Virginia, member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, who has actually been critical of the letter signers, but very skeptical of any deal that could get cut with Iran on the nuclear front. Senators Kaine and Wicker, welcome back to the press for both of you. Senator Wicker, let me just start with you. This morning, I know some senators have regretted some parts of the letter. Do you have any regrets on signing the letter, on who it was addressed to, on how this controversy bubbled up this week?
No, I don't have any regrets at all. I stand by the letter, and I think it's interesting that we've had so much talk about process, just like we had talk about process with Prime Minister Netanyahu's speech, rather than dealing with the substance. And I was struck by what I think I heard Admiral Mullen say. He said he fears Iran more than he fears the Islamic State. And he has reason to say that. I mean, this is the country that we're negotiating with on this agreement. They are the chief exporter of terrorism around in that region. The president's own Northern Command admiral just last week said they are abiding by the international inspection regime, and they're developing new intercontinental ballistic missiles. So I think the substance should be that this is a country that we're negotiating with, that frankly our president and our Secretary of State feel pretty comfortable with, and I don't have much confidence that any agreement that they make, they will abide by.
But let me ask you this. If there is no agreement, the sanctions are going to go away from all the other countries except the United States, Britain, France, Germany, Russia, China. It's likely they all walk away from these sanctions, so it seems as if this is a box.
Well, I don't know that they've said that. If that's their announced position, then indeed they are negotiating with one hand tied behind their back. To me, everything should be on the table. That's always been our position as a United States. When we're dealing with an adversary, and if in fact our negotiating partners and members of the other negotiating team, some of whom are closer to us than others, if they were in fact saying, regardless of how this comes out, we're out of the sanction regime, then to me, that's not the way to get a strong deal for the West.
Senator Kaine, let me go to you here, because there's a letter this morning from the White House Chief of Staff, Dennis McDonough, on behalf of the White House. It's addressed to Senator Corker, and it has to do with potential...
Boy, he's feisty this morning.
Also a co-sponsor to, that has to do with Congress's role in approving a nuclear deal. Here's what Dennis McDonough writes. We believe that the legislation would likely have a profoundly negative impact on the ongoing negotiations, emboldening Iranian hardliners. Moreover, if congressional action is perceived as preventing us from reaching a deal, it will create divisions within the international community, putting at risk the very international cooperation that has been essential to our ability to pressure Iran. What do you say to the president, who clearly doesn't like this legislation that you too are a co-sponsor of?
Chuck, I'm a proud co-sponsor of the legislation, and look, the White House is frustrated with Congress because Congress has taken action in the last few weeks showing an unacceptable level of contempt for the office of the president. However, let's be realistic here. The deal that is being negotiated with Iran is about what will Iran do in order to get out from under congressional sanctions. And so it is unrealistic to think that Congress is not going to be involved in looking at a final deal. I am a pro-diplomacy senator, and I have supported the negotiations to this point. But any deal that touches upon the congressional statutory sanctions is going to get a review of Congress. And the only question is, are you going to have a constructive, deliberate, bipartisan process, or are you going to be rushed and partisan? We've seen the wrong way to go about it last week. I hope we will approach it in the careful and deliberative and bipartisan way.
Well, it's clear the White House is afraid you guys may start voting on this legislation as early as March 24th, later this month, before the end of the month. It sounds like the White House is hoping you wait until if there's a framework announced in the next 10 days, then the final deal that you guys don't touch start talking about this until June. Are you willing to wait that long before you and Senator Corker decide to enact this bill?
You know, Chip, there's no reason to wait till June on our bill. All our bill does is sets up the process under which Congress reviews a deal. And here's what it does. If the White House gives sanctions relief under executive sanctions, they have complete authority to do that without Congress. If they want to give international sanctions relief and can convince partners to do that, they can do that without Congress. Only when they touch the congressional sanctions must Congress get involved. And we have a 60-day period either to approve the congressional sanctions relief, disapprove it, or take no action, and no action is defined as approval. This is a very bipartisan and deliberative approach to looking at something that is fundamentally about our nation's security interests, and if they're going to unwind congressional sanctions, Congress is going to be involved.
Very quickly, will you have a problem if they go to the UN first, Senator Kaine, and get this deal ratified there before coming to Congress?
Chuck, if they go to the UN about international sanctions, they have the complete ability to do that. Sanctions that the White House has entered into without Congress, they have the ability to take action about without Congress. But when they touch upon congressional sanctions, Congress is going to be involved, and the only answer is what is a process that is bipartisan and deliberative and constructive.
Senator Wicker, if they go to the UN first, is that a mistake?
Well, they do have the right to deal. The UN has the right to deal with UN sanctions.
Boy,
But here's the
he's
thing
feisty.
about this letter, and I would think Tim would be frustrated by that letter. What they said this morning in the new letter is not only after we get a preliminary deal must Congress not pass legislation, but they're telling Tim Kaine and Bob Corker, people that have negotiated with 6 Republicans and 6 Democrats, you can't pass legislation until I, the president, get a final deal negotiated in June, and only then will the co-equal branch of the United States government be allowed to weigh in. I would think that Senator Kaine would be frustrated by that.
Well, I'm going to leave it there. Senator Kaine, Senator Wicker, thank you both for coming on this morning. Big important topic. I want to bring in my panel now. Matt Bai, Karen Finney, Andrea Mitchell, Kevin, Matt, and Andrea. That to me is the news this morning. The White House was tolerating this idea of Congress not getting involved until March. Now they realize, oh no, wait, let me look at the calendar. It's March. No, can we wait till June? Senator Kaine, that's an important moment there. He said, no, we're going to go in March.
That's an important moment, and the problem that the White House has is they're caught between the 47 Republican senators who many believe went too far in trying to interfere with the negotiating process, and this bipartisan group, including Corker and Kaine, they're big supporters of the Foreign Relations Committee, who want in. They want in on the unilateral sanctions. There's no reason they can't go to the UN and talk about those international sanctions, but the ones that they can deal with and that Congress has the right to deal with is immediate. Look, it's still not clear they're going to get the deal. I'd say it's now more than 50-50, but there are some really tough negotiating issues still in play, including not only when the sanctions would be lifted and how, but the inspections process. That's how Iran has cheated before. And what no one is talking about is that they have not even begun to get clear answers from Iran about their missile technology, their warhead technology, the delivery systems. You can have a bomb, and if you can't deliver it, it's not as threatening. And that hasn't been clearly on the table.
Kevin, let's go to the politics of this with Republican. Michael Gerson, this is former President Bush's speechwriter, wrote this about the letter of the 47 Republicans. This was a foreign policy maneuver in the middle of a high-stakes negotiation with all the gravity and deliberation of a blog posting. In timing, tone, and substance, it raises questions about the Republican majority's capacity to govern. Again, that's Michael Gerson writing this. That wasn't some liberal columnist writing this.
Right, well, I mean, if you look at the substance of the letter, it was really Civics 101. It was Congress, 47 senators stating what they believed was their proper role in this process. I think if there is a legitimate criticism, or if there are legitimate concerns about the diplomatic wisdom of it, that's fine. But if you listen to Senator Kaine and you listen to Senator Wicker today, they're actually in unison on their criticism of the president and the White House's not bringing them into this process more and not including them more.
Karen, I think
the White House should be building support with this Congress.
Kevin brings up a point. It does seem like, despite what the 47 Republican senators did, it didn't chase away Tim Kaine. Yeah.
No, it didn't. But think about what Admiral Mullen just said in terms of you have a president of Iran who is looking towards elections, trying to get this nuclear deal to try to move in a more moderate direction. Those 47 senators essentially bolstered the extremists, bolstered the military position, right? So that actually undermines the person in Iran who may be trying to move in a more moderate direction. That doesn't help us either in our concerns about what's going on in Iraq and the region, nor does it help us with our negotiating position.
Matt, I have to say, it doesn't seem like there is a good